Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of NEC Men's Basketball on the Run. I'm your host Kyle Turner alongside Ron Ratner. Ron, week 3 is in the books. Give me your weekend takeaways.
Okay Kyle, we might as well start at the top with first place Robert Morris. Colonials battled the elements last week up in New England with all the bad weather, but it was a great road trip for RMU. They finished a 4-game road swing with a 3-1 record, a weekend sweep of Central Connecticut and Bryant. Now they return home, 3 straight games at the North Athletic Complex and 5 of the next 6 at home, all while sitting pretty with a 5-1 mark in NEC play. So what were the ingredients to RMU's success over the weekend? They created havoc on the floor, forcing a combined 38 turnovers in the 2 wins. They had 13 steals against Bryant, the most in an NEC game thus far this season, then 10 more against Central. The key to that defense may be senior forward Malik Petway, who probably doesn't get the credit he deserves in the league. The senior has been the driving force behind the defensive push this season for RMU. He's had at least 2 steals in each of the first 6 NEC games to go along with 1.7 blocks a game. A few of them of the highlight reel chase down variety, as we'll see here. Petway ranks 23rd nationally in steal percentage, 61st in block percentage. He is a major disruptive force for RMU. 1 game back of Robert Morris, we have St. Francis, Brooklyn, and Sacred Heart at 4-2. Let's look at the Terriers first. Jalen Jordan has been pretty amazing over the first 3 weeks of the NEC season. He's extending his range, hitting an assortment of fades and step backs, looking like James Harden out there. Terriers and Pioneers had a good one on Saturday. Came down to 1 key possession that saw Glenn Sanabria ice things on a long 3-pointer with 44 seconds to play. And if you recall, 1 week earlier, Sanabria hit the game winner on a layup to beat St. Francis University. So Glenn Breka is very comfortable giving the ball to his veteran guard when they need a bucket down the stretch. Terriers also beat LIU Brooklyn in the first of their 2 bragging rights games on Monday. In this one, it was Dennis Chellin who gave the Terriers the spark. Career-high 18 points on 8 of 10 shooting, showcasing his footwork on the block, his ability to finish with either hand. Dennis Chellin coming on strong for St. Francis Brooklyn. 2 other quick takeaways. Sacred Heart gave up 92 points to St. Francis Brooklyn in the game we just spoke about. Then, just 2 days later, held Wagner to 38 in a 62-38 win over the Seahawks. In that one, Jarrell Spellman, monster game, 9 blocks, the most by an NEC player in nearly 5 years, and the 2nd most in the nation this season. Definitely a game changer defensively on a young Sacred Heart squad that seems to be improving week by week. Finally, hats off to Mount St. Mary's head coach Dan Engelstad. Picked up his first NEC win on Saturday as the Mount won at Wagner. Team's loaded with young talent. They have a record 4 NEC Rookie of the Week award winners this season. Things are starting to come together down in Emmitsburg.
All right, Ron, well, we're just 6 games into the conference schedule, still 12 more to go, so plenty of basketball to be played. We're going to shift focus. What is your play of the week from last week?
Kyle cannot get enough of watching Sacred Heart's Cameron Parker, the freshman, back at it in transition with this no-look, over-the-back pass to E.J. Anasicki for the power jam in Sacred Heart's win over Wagner. NEC assist leader is definitely fun to watch on a day-to-day basis.
Cam Parker is definitely a reason that the Pioneers are 4-2 and doing well early on in conference play. Now let's go to Brooklyn for your game of the week.
Kyle, we'll go back to Saturday, as you said, in Brooklyn at the Steinberg Wellness Center. A lot of fans were waiting on the rematch of last year's classic NEC semifinal between LIU and FDU. If you remember in that one, Blackbirds edged the night 78-77, went on to win the conference championship 3 days later. This one, another white knuckler, came down to the end in Brooklyn. FDU led by 9 midway through the second half, with Darnell Edge starting to heat up, but the Blackbirds methodically worked their way back into the game behind 7 Raul Frias points, and then it was Eral Penn came off the bench for these back-to-back slams to give LIU a 4-point advantage. It all came down to the final possession. FDU down 2, but this Xavier Malone key 3-pointer with the clock winding down was off the mark, and the Blackbirds came away with the win again. Raekwon Clark finished with 20 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. NEC scoring leader. Another terrific game for him. What I can't wait for is the rematch again between these two teams. Great chemistry when they play. They'll be going head-to-head in Hackensack on ESPNU on January 31st.
So a back-and-forth game down the stretch goes LIU's way. Now, Ron, it's time to take our Twitter timeout. What do you have on the tweet sheet for me?
A little different this week, Kyle. What I want to do is shout out all our NEC schools that made the league-wide celebration of Martin Luther King Day yesterday so moving. The theme of this season in the conference is all in. And the theme of the day was unity, as you can see, with shooting shirts worn by players across the conference. And in interviewing some of our men's and women's basketball players earlier this year about Martin Luther King, you can see the impact he's had in their lives and how his call for service and community involvement has resonated with them. Great job, NEC basketball, this week celebrating MLK Day.
Ron, it was a special day celebrating Martin Luther King. Good job out of our schools. Now we're going to look at some players right now from last week. Who's your under-the-radar guy?
This week's under-the-radar player, Juan Cardenas of Bryant University. Cardenas has been just what the doctor ordered for Jared Grasso in his first season at Bryant. Cardenas, a 6'7" stretch 4 with long arms. He's sort of the versatile player I really enjoy watching. He can make the defense come out and guard him by hitting threes, but he can also take you off the dribble, knows his way around the post. Most importantly, he's become a key rim protector for Bryant this season. Right now, he's second in the league with a block and a half a game, and in league play has averaged 7.5 points on 57% shooting and is pulling down over 5 rebounds a game. Last week, he hit 8 out of 10 from the field over 2 games in a Bryant split. Juan Cardenas is a player to watch moving forward for the Bulldogs, who improved to 3-3 this past Monday in NEC play.
Okay, Ron, from under the radar, we look at who's on your Starwatch for this week.
This is a good transition, Kyle, because if there's an NEC player that's gone from under the radar to full-fledged Starwatch over the course of the last month, it's E.J. Anosicki on Sacred Heart. Sophomore forward's been on a tear since conference play started. Check out these numbers: 17.2 points, 9.3 rebounds, 62% shooting from the field in 6 conference games. He's actually made 22 of his last 32 shots over the last 4 games. Then you throw in the fact that he's hit 7 out of 12 from three-point range, shooting nearly 80% from the line against conference rivals, and you have a force for the Pioneers. Nationally, he's 7th in the nation in offensive rebound. And with a motor that doesn't seem to stop, he's part of this new 2-headed front court monster Anthony Latina's built with Jarrell Spellman that's hard to match in the NEC. Pioneers 4-2, 1 game out of first, and new star E.J. Anosicki is one of the primary reasons why.
All right, fans, you heard it from Ron. Keep an eye out for Sacred Heart's E.J. Anosicki. Now we're going to look at an NEC milestone, and Ron, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you have Keith Braxton again.
Another week, another Keith Braxton milestone. This one's a big one, Kyle. On Saturday, he became just the 2nd player in NEC history to accumulate 1,000 points, 750 rebounds, and 250 assists over the course of his career. The only other player to reach that milestone, for longtime NEC fans, they'll remember Tony Lee, who played for Robert Morris from 2004 to 08, and it was the 2007-08 NEC Player of the Year. So how rare is this 1,750, 250 milestone? Right now, only 2 other active players in Division I can claim membership in the club. One of them is Wisconsin All-American Ethan Happ. The other is Purdue Fort Wayne's John Concher. Both of those are seniors. Braxton is a junior. And this may just be the beginning for Braxton. The Jersey native is about to enter the NEC career top 25 in rebounding and is also on pace to finish his career as the league's first ever 2,000-point, 1,000 rebound performer. Hats off to Keith Braxton.
Those are certainly impressive numbers for Braxton. Keep an eye on him. Now, Ron, give me your game to watch for this week.
No TV games this week, Kyle, but there is a biggie in Moon Township on Thursday when Robert Morris squares off with Sacred Heart with first place on the line. Robert Morris 5-1, Sacred Heart 4-2. Sacred Heart leads the NEC in scoring offense. Robert Morrison's scoring defense, so we'll see what gives. You can watch it at 7 p.m. this Thursday on NEC Front Row.
Okay, fans, you heard it. Keep an eye out for Robert Morris, Sacred Heart in Moon Township, 7 p.m. on Thursday night on NEC Front Row. And don't forget, all other league games can be seen live in HD and for free at necfrontrow.com. For Ron Ratner, I'm Kyle Turner. Thanks for watching this edition of NEC Men's Basketball on the Run. We'll be back again next week.